Okay, so today we're looking at the HW100 KT, how to adjust the power, how to remove the anti-tamper, how to stop it leaking air, and also how to convert it to 177 if you want to. Right, first thing, 2 bolts, 1, 2, and the whole action can then be removed. Now what you need to do then is to get the trigger off, and that comes off quite easily with one Allen key down here, like so. Now this Allen key stays captive when it's removed, and then this one here which comes out. I don't know if you can see that. There we are. Obviously make sure the gun isn't cocked, and there we are. Whole trigger unit comes off in one piece. Leave that just in one piece and put to one side. Okay, now depends what you're doing. The likelihood is you want to sort of strip down fully, so what you do is take the cylinder off. First of all, take the little plug out the end, like so. Put that to one side, and then just unscrew the cylinder. There'll be a bit of a hiss as it starts to vent. There we go. There you go, and out it comes. We can set that to one side. Now, one of the standard leaks on this gun comes from in there. Can you see it? Tiny, tiny little O-ring sitting down on that probe down in there. Tiny O-ring, very cheap. That's what usually leaks on these. Anyway, right. Next thing, barrel off. Excuse the fingers. Barrel off. Get the barrel off. There is a little Allen key just there. So what we'll do is we'll pop a little thing in there and we'll slacken that off. You need to undo it a very long way, I'm afraid. So it needs to come almost completely out like that, and then the barrel simply slides forward. There we go. Another thing to look for, you need to look on the end of that. There's a small O-ring that needs to be in good condition. Okay, right, so what we're left with is we're left with the two sections now of the breech block. By the way, that little grub screw there covers the pressure test point, so if you're actually going to adjust these properly and do it with a regulator, that's where you connect your regulator. Anyhow, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the two pieces, take the mag out, separate the two pieces, and that is going to be then, that's the valve block and then the main hammer mechanism. If you're just removing the anti-tamper, you don't actually have to separate the two, but just for this I'm going to. So what it is there's two Allen keys here, like so, and I'm just going to loosen them off. Now bear in mind, if you do this with the bottle in place, it's going to get nasty for you, so make sure you've taken the bottle out. That's that one. Obviously I've pre-loosened these because I can't do everything with one hand. There we go. Right, like so. Okay. Come on. Now then, to change this to 177 from 22, lots of people say it can't be done and it's too expensive and blah-de-blah. I don't think it is. I'll show you why. Right, that's out. Now, this is a 22, and what we've got here is you've got the main regulator block, which if you look here, you've got the regulator adjuster down there, which is that Allen key, and then under this thing here, this basically is there's the little outlet port, so the hammer hits that and lets the air through. So to convert to 177, what you've got to do is change that valve block. Here's a 221. There, that valve block screws in there, like that. So change one of those, about 19 quid from TJ Fowler's. You've got to change the probe, which we'll come on to in a minute. There's the probe that pushes the pellet through there. What you're doing is converting from the larger type to the smaller one. And then you've also got to here, where you've put the smaller probe in. I don't know if you can see that that's a smaller probe in here. See how it wobbles about a little bit? What you have to do is you need to shim it with a little piece of 1mm plastic. Just a little half circle of 1mm plastic. Piece cut off a Coke bottle is fine, because what it can do is it goes in the hole there, and you just slip it back in here and a drop of super glue, and all it's doing is stopping that from wobbling when it goes forward. Right, regulator adjustment, clockwise for more pressure, anti-clockwise for less pressure. Bear in mind the usual things. If you go over 12 foot-pounds you're in trouble, but that isn't the main way of adjusting the power, and in fact if you adjust the regulator too high the pressure will go down, so usually leave that alone. Right, and then we'll look at the other side. Okay, so let's get on to the bit that I'm sure you're interested in, how to adjust the power via the hammer. Which is your primary means of adjusting it without sort of running into problems. As I say, if you use the regulator, the moment you've cracked it over, it should be something like 90 bar, give or take 5 bar, so 85 to 95 bar. Moment it starts to go over that, the hammer can't open it. So when this little hammer here flies forward, the pressure's so high in the chamber it just can't open it, so the power goes down. Anyway, right, so what we're doing, we're going to take the back off this, so there's just 2 little Allen keys there, so take them out like this. Now this is the Mark III, so it's got the full anti-tamper in it, which people think is a bit of a pig to get out, but I actually don't. I think it's not too much of a problem. Bear in mind, it's not illegal to remove the anti-tamper, but it is illegal to have your gun over 12 foot-pounds. So the moment you start to fiddle with any of this, if you don't chrono it, you're going to jail. Okay, so what we've got now, take the again cap off, and there is, really should buy a stand, there is the hammer, that thing that's just poked out the back there. Now what we need to do is, I know it's tricky to see, let's try and get it a bit better. I can't. We'll look at it further when we get it out. So, what you need to do is, to get it out, you need to take this little square bit here off. Now it sits in a little recess, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take the Allen key out the middle, like that. And then we're going to just pick it off, like that. Oh, it's stuck there. There we are, so that's off. And then what can happen is the hammer can slide out. Now, what you'll also need to do to get the hammer right out is you'll need to take out this pin here which holds the arm in. Now I'm not actually going to do that for you at the moment because it involves getting a hammer out, but the easiest thing to do is to get a little thin Allen key, poke it down the hole there and just tap it through and out. You can see that this one is actually half out at the moment because I've had it out. Okay, so what you do to get the anti-tamper off this is, see this here, really doesn't look like a very good quality picture this, but anyway, inside that there is you've got your little grub screw here that holds the inner adjuster in there, which is basically a form of one of those security bolts at the end that snaps off when you tighten it too much. So they've used something like that and then snapped it off. Now you see this little beveled bit here, you can pretty much abuse that bevel bit as much as you want because it doesn't really do anything, and it's just as long as you don't end up sort of meowing the sides of this, you can actually you can damage that bevel if you want to. What I've done on this one to get the anti-tamper off, which is basically to get the piece inside here turning, is to cut across it with a grinder like that, so then I've got a slot in the inner bit. I've then heated this is why it's a little bit blue. I've then heated that with a blow lamp, obviously when it's out of the gun, not hot, but just enough to soften the whatever that stuff is, anti-seize or thread lock in it. And then just put a nice fat screwdriver down inside there so that it just grips the two edges that I've cut, and undo it. And that's your anti-tamper out, like that. Now, if you're changing this, if you're changing the pellet probe, that one, all you got to do is push that pin out, and then this whole section slides out. So the arm and the actual and the hammer, the whole thing comes out like that. In terms of up the front here, this here we go. Oh, I keep putting my fingers there, don't I? Should be used to my poor quality videos by now. Anyway, right, this is the valve, and you'll notice, I don't know if you can see, but you see the O-ring that goes there, just around the valve there. That's the main seal. That's another thing that leaks. Now that there is a 12 by 1.5 O-ring, 12 times 1.5. Now HW have actually modified that now, and they put in a 1 by 12. You can buy them off the internet at about £1, or you can get it from the local whatever store. But if you put the 12 by 1.5 back in, it doesn't quite sit right, and it mouths up when it closes. That's the original one, which is all horsed up and nasty. Anyway, right, so and when you're putting this back in, make sure the seat, that's the actual valve seat there, make sure that's clean. There we go. So that's the 2.2. You can see what I've been doing is I've basically been converting mine to 177, and all I'm missing at the moment is a barrel, but I'm too tight to buy one for 85 quid. Anyway, right, some crucial things when putting this back together. The valve block comes off with 2 screws, which are just there and there. The crucial thing is you must do this up properly before you put the barrel back in, because the barrel rests on the back of that there, and that's where the barrel mounts. So if you put the barrel in first, this won't close down properly. Other things that are worth mentioning, not much really. You want to degrease this as much as you can, because this hammer, as it slides forwards and backwards, if it's obstructed by heavy grease, you get variation in shots, and it's all over the shop in different weathers. As I say, the reason people don't like to convert these to 177 is that pellet probe channel there is 5.5mm on the 2.2 and is 4.5mm on the 7.7. All I've got there is I've just got a small piece of Coke bottle, and I've just cut it and made a shim around. Works fine. Where's it going to go? It can't come forward because there's a magazine in the way. And all it's doing is guiding the pellet probe forwards. Yeah, other than that, as I say, your common leaks are that one there, which is easy to change. Just pick it off with a pin, don't use a knife, just pick that off with a pin. Then, yep, the back of the valve there. Right, running out of things to say on that. When you put this back together, my suggestion would be no thread lock, and use just the grub screw there. Just lock it back together with the grub screw there once you've chronoed it, and what I'd suggest you do is you mark it with a bit of Tipp-Ex, so that wherever you stopped, you can say and you can demonstrate that you actually locked it and marked it was in place. Right, that's it for this one.